What's up, everybody? It is week 3, and I am in the DFS garage. That's where I do my stuff, or sometimes in the DFS basement. Hey, that's what you got to do when you're trying to make the money. You don't spend the money on a big studio. You just hang out in your garage talking to you all out in YouTube land. My buddy, Natash, like the radish, Lee, how you doing?
Oh, man, we're doing all right. Feeling a lot better than I was last week. Didn't play a lot of DFS, had a lot of stuff going on this week, but, had a matchup that counted. And if you followed us on Twitter, you know how that went down.
Yeah. You sure did. You sure did.
A lot better than last week. I believe in week 1, you blew you blew me out by like 50, 60 points. So it was nice to get a little comeback.
Yeah.
Start the train going.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the train, okay, that's what you want to call it.
Oh, we're calling it the train.
Oh, okay. Well, the train's going to come back this week. But that being said, all right, I'm just going to tell you that I think you I think you did much better than me. Okay. But let's look at my lineup, right? That I think we're looking at. You should see Russell Wilson there.
That's you. Yep.
Nick Chubb, Elijah Mitchell, Jarvis Landry. Those two hurt me big time, obviously.
Yep. Tough injuries. Yep.
Jalen Waddle had a tough game. I got nothing from my wide receiver / tight end stud in New Orleans. The New Orleans had a terrible game. My one saving grace, Gronk, right? But that was not enough at 97.62 points. Tell me what you think of my illustrious lineup there, pal.
Hey, man, just like I did in week 1, failed to break 100 points. So, that's karma, if you would. So you got hurt with the injury bug, a little bit like I did last week with Mostert. So here's one thing we learned: never trust a 49ers, running back. Never trust Kyle Shanahan and what he's going to do. Other than that, I'm taking some good things. Russell Wilson had a great game. Nick Chubb was a very highly played player. I expect him to be highly played again for good reason again this week. But hey, man, it had good bones.
Okay. Well, if you're not picking up what we're putting down here, my man Lee came out the victor with a whopping 158.72 points. Everything fell into place for Lee. Let's start at the top here. How did you come upon a Justin Herbert, Austin Ekeler, Keenan Allen stack, which, by the way, one of my favorite moves in the world because no one ever does it? Quarterback, number 1 wide receiver, plus the running back.
Yes.
Preach it all the time. So
and on this one, look at it. 9 receptions from Austin Ekeler. What a floor, that gets you. Looking at it, I thought it was going to be a much higher scoring game, with the Chargers against Dallas there. So it was nice to get the kind of production that we did get. Only 1 touchdown, from Justin Herbert. Unfortunately, we had those 2 interceptions, but 338 passing yards and 108 went to Keenan Allen. So both of those guys hitting their boosts at their position. And just Austin Ekeler with the volume. So that's what I was just banking on. I was banking on volume with those 3 guys, and then just to hit a couple of dart throws here and there. And, no better than that flex and that defense there.
Yeah, the Buccaneers against the Atlanta Falcons. It seems like the Atlanta Falcons are cheat code for DFS defenses.
Yep.
And we'll get into that later. Of course, I think though the real masterful thing was putting Derrick Henry in your flex. I actually got beat, and I'm not afraid to say this. I got beat in my number 1 fantasy league because of silly Derrick Henry. I got by and Devontae Adams not getting in the end zone. So I got beat here. I got beat there by the King. So congratulations. Let's see if you did cash anything here. Oh, you won 6 buckets. 6 buckets, pal.
Not bad.
I'd say I'd pay you, but I probably won't. So let's go into what we're talking about here. We're talking about week 3 DFS values that we found on DraftKings. And we're going to start off with quarterback. And I have to say, because you beat me with Justin Herbert, I have to start this conversation out talking about a way too cheap Justin Herbert. who is $6,500 in a, without question, shootout matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I'm with you there. Justin Herbert it hopefully has a much more efficient game than he did last week, but against Kansas City's defense that has been giving up a ton of yards, a ton of points, I can absolutely see him having a top 5 type of week.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that I love about Herbert, though, when you look at his last game in week 1 as well, over 330 passing yards in both games, I think that that might be an understatement against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So, who's your first quarterback you wanted to mention on this week 3 values show here, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, even though he's high priced, he's going to come in as a great value this week when looking at Lamar Jackson. Going against Detroit. Just like Derrick Henry last week, I think he has the opportunity to be the number 1 player in fantasy. That not much needs to be said, about Lamar Jackson and what he can do. Going into the next value, a little bit more of a value play, somebody who does a lot of similar things that Lamar Jackson has been doing. And we're talking about Daniel Jones here at
You mean
5,800.
Giants number 1 running back, Daniel
Giants
Jones.
number 1 running back, the number 1 rusher. And you know what? Ironically, not the only quarterback to lead his team in rushing.
Yeah.
But at 5,800 going up against Atlanta, we saw, what everybody's been doing, to Atlanta and that defense. I'm looking at a great floor with Daniel Jones, low turnover opportunity this week, even though turnovers are the thing that really hold him back. This is, if there's any week for him to pop, this is going to be the one.
Yeah, I mean, the Atlanta defense looks worse than the Atlanta offense, and the Atlanta offense looks worse than what's behind me in my garage. So I love this call. $5,800. He's scored over 22 fantasy points on DraftKings both weeks. I see no reason to slow down with Danny Dimes. Really quick, a couple guys that I have my eye on too. Matthew Stafford, $6,400 again in a shootout. Most likely shootout with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know that the Rams have a fantastic defense, but you are talking about Tom Brady on the other side, and where there's a will and there's a way. I think this is just way too cheap for a guy who could be looking at over 300 yards and a few touchdown scores in a game that both teams are going to have to keep pace with. And the last one I wanted to bring up. I think we're looking at yours.
That's okay. But I mean, what I'll say about Matthew Stafford is this is the week he's really tested. This is the week he goes up against a playoff defense. One that's going to really make him work for what he wants to get. I'm looking at maybe some of the other guys outside of the Cooper Kupps and Robert Woods, to pop off in this game, as the defense is going to be really looking to take those guys away.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really like the idea of Tom Brady being hurried, right? We always heard that when he was in New England. I heard it certainly as a New England fan. But when you look at all the weapons that Brady has now at his disposal, they didn't have when he was hurried in New England. I think that's going to be a tight game. The other guy I want to mention really quick and touch on is Ryan Tannehill. He has certainly underwhelmed thus far in fantasy overall. In fact, outside of that overtime win there, which Derrick Henry kind of took on his back. Certainly, AJ Brown hasn't looked great. Julio Jones had the phantom heel on the sideline that robbed him of a touchdown. But I think against the Indianapolis Colts, who have underwhelmed themselves on the defensive side, this could be a bounce back game for Tannehill at only 6,200. I think that's a great price. Plus the fact, I just don't think he's going to be very popular. And I love a low-owned, cheap quarterback to lead the team.
I absolutely agree. I mean, that offense is starting to come together.
Mhm.
I mean, the first week believe he threw for like 250 yards. This past week, even though it was overtime, but he still he eclipsed over 300 yards. That offense is only going to gel. Him and Julio Jones are going to only add more and more rapport. I absolutely see him shooting up. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, I think we both agree on the last guy we want to hit on here in this quarterback section here. Why don't you talk about Justin Fields?
Oh yeah, well you brought him up a couple of weeks, preparing everybody for when he's going to take over. And at 5,200, the versatility that he has gives you an incredible floor. We're going up against Cleveland. Cleveland's probably going to try and control the ball. I see Chicago opening up this offense. Justin Fields has a huge arm. They've got tons of speedsters to line up. I think it's a great opportunity to take some shots downfield. And with his legs too, like I said, gives you a great floor. So he's a great play at 5,200.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when you look at a guy who can get it done with his legs as easily as he could through the air, even in a matchup that might not be perfect, I think he just has such an amazing ceiling for an extremely cheap price. I think he will be popular because of that. But
Yes, he will.
if you're mass multi-entering, I don't think you have a problem with that. All right, let's go on to some wide receivers who we are looking at. I'll start mine off with a guy that I think maybe surprised people that he was going to emerge to being the number one on this team, since it had traditionally been a pretty even split, really, between him and Robert Woods. But Cooper Kupp, again, I don't understand what DraftKings is doing. They will not price this guy up under $7,000 in that probable shootout with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is Matthew Stafford's number one guy. They're eating breakfast together, baby. You know what I'm saying? So they got some trust, and I just love that price, 6,800. Who are you looking at?
Yeah, well, going back to that Falcons game, we talked about Daniel Jones and great opportunity to stack one of his pass catchers, whether it be Sterling Shepard, Kenny Galladay, Darius Slayton. Personally, I think Kenny Galladay is the one to go and grab. 5,600 for Kenny Galladay. Greasy, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Right after that end of that game in week 2, they talked about how they just haven't found the rapport. So that tells me that they're going to come out and they're going to look to make a statement. I'm looking at Kenny Galladay to get in the end zone this week. I'm looking at him to probably hit double-digit targets. I think he's a great stack with Daniel Jones this week.
I agree with you. I think this might be the Kenny Galladay week. I also like another guy to stack with my number one guy, and that's Keenan Allen. Yep. I'm not really sure, again, what
his price went down.
Yeah, his price went down to 6,600. I really don't understand that. And then even kind of more absurdly, I think, is the breakout year of Mike Williams. He's $400. He's $6,400.
Yep.
That's just crazy. What is, I think, really nuts though, when you get down in this range, is you're going to see one Mike Evans right here at $6,300. No Antonio Brown this week, out with the COVID protocol. Mike Evans at $6,300 is an unbelievable value. And then, believe it or not, which I really can't, below that is Chris Godwin at $6,100. DraftKings, what are you doing?
Yep, I think they're afraid of the Rams defense in that regard. I think that's got to be the only reason why they're each priced under 7,000. I haven't looked at the over under for that game yet. I'd have to imagine that it's probably in that like 52 range. If they're putting up 24 to 28 points each, you're definitely going to want to grab the pass catchers and. In what might be a game that's not really featuring a lot of running backs, as both teams haven't really gotten it going. Running the ball. A couple of guys that I'm looking at. We're looking at Marvin Jones Jr. at 4,900. He's the number one receiver out there in Jacksonville. It's not a great offense, but Arizona gives up a ton of yards and Arizona gives up a ton of points so far this year. He's had double-digit targets. I believe he's averaging double-digit targets. That's a piece of something I want for 4,900.
I don't hate the call, but I will tell you, I am staying away from the Jacksonville offense this
And
week
that's understandable.
with the Chandler Jones effect
Sure.
on that Arizona defense. I'm very worried for young Trevor Lawrence and his pass catchers. But
Yeah.
I think another guy that we both agree on needs to be, I think, in the conversation is one Odell Beckham Jr.
Great price this week.
Great
Yeah.
price, coming in $5,300 on DK. We know Jarvis Landry is out. Once Jarvis Landry went out, pretty much all of Baker's pass catchers didn't do a thing,
Nope.
and Baker himself was injured. So with Baker's out there and Odell's out there, I just don't know how you ignore a $5,300 Odell Beckham. If he goes off, his price is going to shoot up past 7,500. Next week. So
Yeah.
I just think that, it's a little bit of a chance, but I think that's too cheap.
Yeah, I mean, when I think when Odell is out there, they make a really bad habit to get him the ball. They really force feed him the ball a few times. If you're not feeling playing OBJ, the only other pass catcher I really feel comfortable playing in there is Rashard Higgins. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he ended up having a fumble last week.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be the only guy that Baker is going to trust, outside of OBJ.
You're talking about Hollywood Higgins?
Hollywood. Oh, yes. Hollywood Higgins.
Last wide receiver I think I want to mention is a guy that is just too comical not to mention. Quintin Cephus. Quintez Cephus, excuse me. The thing about the Detroit Lions was they were in that game in the first half, and then it just all vanished. But nonetheless, we have young Quintez here who has a touchdown in each of the first two games.
Yep.
I think that's a crazy price for $3,900 against the Baltimore Ravens, who Detroit is going to have to throw a ton in that game.
Yeah, and Baltimore's had a terrible start to the season with their pass defense. They're giving up a ton of yards. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they've given up more yards than any team in the league.
Yeah. I just think that's crazy. And I forgot, there was one other guy I wanted to mention.
Oh, you love this guy.
Yeah, he's coming in questionable. He missed practice day, but it was to an illness. It was not to an injury. So he should be back out there. 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
So do you feel all right with him without Carson Wentz playing? Do you feel still confident playing him?
I am not as confident without Carson Wentz playing him, but what I do think is I am less confident in him as a waiver wire pickup on my regular fantasy team. So I will gladly take a shot at him in DFS, and at under $5,000, I think he's a fine, third wide receiver on your squad to save some cash. So let's chat up some running backs.
Yeah,
I'm interested to hear who you're looking at, man.
Well, my number one running back, kind of coming a little bit off of what we were talking about in that Cleveland game. Looking at Nick Chubb this week with Baker ailing. I really feel like they're going to look to control the clock. They're going to lean on Chubb. They're going to lean on Hunt. Chubb coming in at 7,600, even Hunt coming in at 5,600. I wouldn't even be mad at playing the both of them, this week together.
Really?
As I feel like they are going to lean heavy on the ground game, especially with the pass rush that Chicago can generate. So I think that you can get some real great value out of the both of them.
I love Nick Chubb. I love him every week, and I think that's a spot on call. Who else you got, man?
So after that, we're talking about Saquon Barkley. We have touched on this Atlanta Falcons team a ton of times. If there was ever a week for Saquon Barkley to come back, get over 100 yards, get over 15 to 20 touches, we have been trending that direction. This is the team to do it against. Great chance for Saquon to get into the end zone twice. So, I mean, 6,500 might be the cheapest you're ever going to get him now. If he's looking at 85%, even 80%. Against that Falcons defense.
Yeah, 85% of the running back snaps in week 2 looks to be back on that 3 down role. Certainly the Atlanta defense does not scare you or me or probably even my daughter who's sleeping right now. Also, I got to point this out too. Another guy that DraftKings just refuses to price up, and I don't understand why. Austin Ekeler, clearly a focal, not a focal point, but a big part of that Chargers offense. And going into a game against KC, they're going to have all their weapons out there, and Eckler's going to be a big part of that. Under 8K for Eckler is just a little bit crazy to me. I just feel like, especially in that game environment, he should be a lot more pricey. Who else you got, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, Eckler has the ceiling that Alvin Kamara has any given week. Going back into that Ravens and Detroit game, leaning on what Baltimore does best in their running backs. We've got Latavius Murray there. And he is taking over that backfield. He is clearly.
Is he really? Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
He's taking over the important stuff, which is around the goal line. And that is absolutely his job.
Because I personally think this is going to be the game that Taison Williams says, "Hey, LT, stay on the sidelines, my friend."
Hey.
I mean,
he's the most efficient.
He paced the team in rushing attempts. All right, 77 yards on the ground. If he gets one of those scores, you're talking about a different conversation right now. We wouldn't even be talking about Latavius Murray.
You're right.
I think the biggest challenge to either Williams and Murray, of course, is that the number one goal line option is their quarterback, Lamar.
Yes.
But that being said, both of these guys should be absolutely in your player pool. Under $6,000 for Taison. And then what was Latavius's price? 5,300. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
guys.
Both of them have the opportunity to score 2 touchdowns this
week. I hate to always say, like, did you just see what Aaron Jones did to these guys?
Oh, yes. Yes. Absolutely.
I do think the Baltimore Ravens running backs are going to be pretty popular. Another pair that I am shocked by and how cheap they are the Rams running backs with Darrell Henderson, who is potentially out, right? But at under $6,000 in that Tampa Bay matchup, I love that price. But if he is out, I mean, one Michel at
Sony Michel,
Sony,
4,900.
Yeah, look pretty good. 4,900. He's going to start the game. He's going to play most of the snaps under $5,000. You can flex him. Maybe you don't want to put him in run. Get it, flex him. But still, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I do not think Darrell Henderson is going to play this game. Rib cartilage injury. That's a painful injury to be playing against and running up against that defense. Sony Michel, if he's getting the majority of the snaps, he's getting 75 to 80 snaps. He's absolutely worth a flex play. He can fall into the end zone once or twice. The Bucks are not going to be playing 8 in the box against this. They're going to be playing, nickel coverage. They're going to be looking to take away the, Matthew Stafford and his weapons. He could have some lanes to run.
And by the way, if you are thinking back and remembering Sony Michel last couple of years in their Patriots uniform, the guy who made it on the field this past Sunday was a different guy. I mean, He looked explosive. He looked effective.
Yep.
So keep an eye on that injury news. I think the hot button topic on everybody's mind, though, is Cordell Patterson.
Yes, Cordell Patterson.
Now, I'm not saying that he's the number one running back in Atlanta. I'm not even saying he's a running back and considered a running back on that depth chart. But when you're talking about a guy who's clearly a part of this game plan, right? 6 targets, 7 rushing attempts, a touchdown on both rushing and he caught a ball. I think this is a very, very effective use of your flex spot in your lineup with Cordell Patterson. He is definitely a wild card, and we don't know. But I have a feeling that the Falcons will be playing catch-up ball again with New York Giants. And I do think that Cordell Patterson is going to be involved again. And, I mean, certainly if he's going to score you 23, almost 24 fantasy points, well worth a $4,600 price tag there, which is, I think, nuts.
So Cordell Patterson is the running back that Arthur Smith has been looking for his whole life. That is the best way I can describe it. He walked in, he saw the body and size of Cordell Patterson and the speed of him, and he says, "This is all I've ever wanted." So, yeah, he's gonna take away lots of touches from Mike Davis.
Yeah.
The Giants' defense is not one that scares you.
Yeah.
It's the same reason you're playing Ekeler is probably the same reason you play the upside of Patterson there.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you think about our first entry into this lineup we build being Cordell Patterson in the flex?
Oh, go ahead. Let's put Cordell Patterson in the flex, and
okay.
I mean that's value right there.
Flex. All right, Cordell Patterson at 4,600. So now let's get into some tight ends. I think that I'm gonna lay out.
Please start out with the hottest of the hot.
I feel like you're mocking me.
I'm not. I mean, why would I? He's the number one tight end in fantasy.
Yeah, he is. He's Gronk. And Gronk is now part of a very elite club, which I learned earlier today. There's only 4 tight ends in history who started the season, first 2 games, with 4 touchdowns. And guess what he did this past weekend? He got back in that club because 2 of those people are Gronk. 2 of them. Dude,
I mean,
what is going on here? We've addressed the idea a couple times that we think that the Buccaneers and Rams are going to be in a shootout, and this guy is Tom Brady's favorite target, and he's only $5,500. I'm sorry, we're putting Gronk in the lineup. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, put Gronk in the lineup. I can't argue with you.
All right, now listen.
Can't argue with you.
I'm really thirsty. I've been talking a lot. I got to go get my Coors Light. I'm going to let you talk about some tight ends. When we come back, we'll keep building this lineup here. All right?
Absolutely.
I'm going to lay out here. All right? It's going to be all Lee. Lee and not me.
And the background. And the background.
Okay, I'll be right back.
So,
you talk.
Alrighty. So there's a couple of tight ends that we're looking at as far as value-wise. Gronk is on the expensive side. We got Darren Waller out there also on the expensive side. But we're going to look at guys here who are under $3,200. We're going to start off with Max Williams, who's going to be a very popular pickup. $3,200. He had 7 targets last week. He's going to be a very popular play against the Jacksonville defense. Going back to that Atlanta defense, Kyle Rudolph with Evan Ingram presumably out. Kyle Rudolph loves the red zone. Kyle Rudolph loves to get in the end zone. And I would look to definitely see him get you something on that $3,000 return.
Oh, so you didn't just talk about Gronk while I was gone?
Oh no, I didn't. I figured 3 weeks was enough. We can move on to the cheaper guys.
Right. Okay.
The last guy I'd like to bring up is somebody who's taking over, as the starter, and he's a rookie this year. Pat Freiermuth.
Fryer!
I absolutely love what they're doing with Pat Freiermuth. He's going to be running most of the routes now as he's out snapping Eric Ebron.
Yeah.
He is going Ben Roethlisberger loves his tight ends in the red zone. He loves his tight ends down the middle of the field. If Deontay Johnson sits, this could be a huge game for Pat Freiermuth. But he's somebody I'm definitely keeping my eye on, and I'm definitely not scared of playing at $3,000 against Cincinnati this week.
No, I think it's a great thing. I love that Pat Freiermuth made an appearance in this show here. I'm sorry that we already have a tight end and a flex booked. But okay. Why don't we talk about some cheap DSTs real quick?
Sure.
We'll go DSTs next in our lineup, and then we'll build backwards. So who's your favorite cheap DST this week?
Yeah, among the cheapest you see down there is $3,000 for the Arizona Cardinals. We talked a little bit about what Chandler Jones can do earlier, but they're playing Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence has thrown interceptions. I believe at least two in each game. So great opportunity for you to get a pick six here. Rookie makes a terrible throw in the flat, boom, going the other way.
There are only two quarterbacks in the league right now who's thrown 2 interceptions in both weeks. Trevor Lawrence being the other. Can you guess his compadre here?
Let's see. I'd It's not Zach Wilson because I believe he didn't throw a pick in the first week.
It is Zach Wilson.
Is it Zach Wilson?
That's okay.
Oh, Zach Wilson.
Right.
Oh,
Who we got? Okay, so DSTs, we got the Cardinals.
that is a Patriots fan through and through right there.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. It makes me so happy. Hey, raise a glass for the old Zach Wilson throwing picks.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you this. The Raiders have looked good, and now we're going to get a Tua list. Dolphins, 3,400 for the Raiders. I'll take it all day. I like the Giants, too, right underneath them, 3,300 against the sad Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
And I think you got to watch the injury news here. But if Big Ben sits, which there's a chance he may, if Big Ben sits all day long, $2,100 for the Bengals against, because we have seen a Pittsburgh team without Big Ben much too often recently over the last couple of years, and it's not a pretty sight.
Now, I'll take you on the other side of that. If Big Ben plays, I am playing the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
And not afraid. The Cincinnati offensive line has not looked great. They've given up 9 sacks already to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow threw 3 interceptions on 3 consecutive passes last week to the Bears. I would not be afraid to play them. A little on the pricier side at 3,900, but I would not be afraid to play them if I have the money.
All right, so who are we going to go DST in this lineup here?
I like the Cardinals in this one.
Cardinals.
It's a nice price, $3,000.
$3,000.
Let's just get our studs in.
All right, so we got 6,150 left. We got to do 3 wide receivers here. I know we talked about a few in this range, but I'm gonna just take this over here and say,
by all means, go ahead.
I think we got to go Evans and Godwin.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there. I'll give you the running backs. I'll give you the running backs and this last wide receiver, but no AB. Right, it's a triple stack right there. I'm not saying Brady's going to have the best game in the world. We know about the Rams defense, but we're talking about the 3 main targets with ABs off the field. I want to capture all of that. So, give me a third wide receiver. We're still at $6,100 average player salary.
Oh man, let's see. So third wide receiver. Why don't we grab? Why don't we grab Keenan Allen or Cooper Kupp, somewhere in that range there? I mean, you can grab Cooper Kupp if you want to stay in that game. If you think it's going to be a shootout, that's the way to go, right? A little correlation.
I do like that. The Cooper Kupp. 6,800.
Yeah.
I do kind of like that, actually. Yeah. All right. So who we got for running backs? We got $5,900. We uncovered a couple.
I mean, if we don't have Nick Chubb in our lineup, what did we do wrong?
Well, if we put Nick Chubb in this lineup, I do feel that it might decrease our ability to have an effective quarterback, but let's see how it goes. Here he goes. Nick Chubb at 7,600. All right, we got $5,000 left. Oh, I know exactly who we're going for at quarterback.
Who you got?
Who do you think we got?
You got Justin?
Yeah.
You got Mr. Fields?
You gotta. In a lineup like this? Absolutely. Where is he down here?
Right there.
There he is. $5,200. That leaves us $4,900 for a running back. You know who I think we should put in there?
Who you got? Let's
stay in that Tampa Bay game. It fits so well as if we actually planned it. We're going to look for our friend, and your friend and mine.
Yep.
Sony Michel. It's $0 left on the thing. Justin Field, Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, Gronk. A little flex with Cordell Patterson and the Cardinals defense. The question I have for you is, when you hear that roster of names on this lineup, do you not think that maybe all of these players are underpriced, huge values going into this weekend? Because there's some big names on this lineup.
Every single one of them. Every single one of these guys has the potential to pop. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, easily could be top 5 wide receivers just right there, all 3 of them. Especially if that game goes, the way we think it's going to go. If that's not a money lineup, I don't know what is.
I agree with you, man. Hey, listen, we're just about out of time, but I got to tell you the thing about this weekend and week 3. Yes, there's some injury news you got to wait for to find total values, but the one thing is, DraftKings at least has not priced any of these big stud names up, and you can find values without having to wait for an injury news or find a chalky replacement player. And God knows if Dalvin Cook sits, please do not play Alexander Madison.
No.
That's all I got for you.
Don't do it again.
There. Don't do it again, man. All right. This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ. We're talking DFS Week 3 values. My man Radish, Madish like a radish, Lee on Twitter. Last name first. I'm at Delray Boston, Sean Weymouth. Make sure you're checking out RealDealFantasyHQ.com this weekend. The Week 3 DFS picks will be out, and you don't want to miss it. So, Lee, anything else before we say goodnight?
Oh, no. Hey, make that money.
Make that money, man. Take care, everybody. Good luck in your contests.